Hey all, Heretic here with another Hearthstone Battlegrounds Player Guide, and I'm here to bring you the information you need to help you win with Greybough. So get comfy and let's dive in. First, let's talk about their hero power sprouted out. This costs 0 golden reeds passive, give +1/+2 in taunt to minions you summon during combat. So this is a very powerful early game buff. You know, your little death rattle minions that normally would pop out a 1/1 are now popping out 2/3s, and they have taunt. This is going to give you a lot of tempo. It's going to help you overcome early game adversity. It's going to give you buffs, to help with quests. There's a lot of inherent value in this early game hero power. And you look at it and you go, well, late game Heretic, who cares about +1/+2? And you're right, it's not a really significant buff. If we're on turn 14, I don't think +1/+2 is going to win you the game. It might, probably not though. But it does give all your minions that you summon in combat taunt. Now, that's where it really shines in the later game, because in the later game, that buff won't matter, but the protection it gives the minions that are going to actually give your board value, regardless of what they are now going to be protected by these taunts. That is a big buff. When you find the right minions, they may not have many stats, but the time they give you to develop your board in the combat will be massive and win you the game ultimately. Now, when it comes to tiering with Greybough, I usually do one of two curves. It's usually 3-on-3 or fast basic. Now, it doesn't really depend so much about the tribes in has the death rattles available for you. Because at this stage, you already decided you're playing Greybough. So now you have to think about, well, where are the minions in the tier I want to be? Because if you go 3-on-3, but in your particular lobby for one reason, there's only one death rattle or reborn minion in tier 3, there isn't a whole lot of inherent value. So you really have to look at those tribes and look at their abilities and say, okay, unless I already have a bunch of death rattle and reborns, what am I looking for that's going to give me synergy with those so I can actually develop some value to get my board stronger? If there's nothing good in tier 3, that's when you're looking at fast basic. You kick right to tier 4 and you don't worry about it. Ultimately, when you're tiering with Greybough, what matters is where the minions are that synergize for your hero power in this early game stage, because your hero power is very good, but only with certain types of minions. So you really need to spend time where those minions of super value are. Now, when it comes to the quest rewards I'm looking for when I'm playing Greybough, Greybough likes to kick out tokens. One way or the other, that's what you're looking for. So the quest rewards you're looking for should either be, one of the quests that's going to give you a lot of scaling for a long period of time, or things that are going to work with those tokens. Now, I'm going to go with the ones that are obvious value because they're going to make your board better in the mid and early game, especially in the later game in a couple of these cases. But obviously things like Cookbook and all that are going to work great. And Greybough should look at these kind of quests, but they're usually harder to complete and don't instantly synergize, or maybe not even at all, with my hero power. So I'm looking at ones right now that synergize with the hero power to get the extra value for you. So Smoking Gun, obviously, if you're going to be kicking out a bunch of tokens, giving all those tokens +4 attack is not a bad thing. This is going to easily make sure you top 4. You complete this quest early enough, you're going to get a bunch of value. Greybough, Smoking Gun, a solid combo. Next up, Volatile Venom. Now this one is phenomenal if you're running a beast. Mechs, depending on the loadout, obviously don't take things like Deflectobot, and to a lesser extent, it still works well with demons because, hey, +7/+7 to all your minions is pretty good. And then when they kick out tokens, if those tokens get +8/+9, even better. Venom is very, very good and synergizes well with what you're already doing. So it's kind of a no-brainer quest reward, once again, if it's doable. Now, this one is a little harder to pull off because you have to get the right death rattles in the right order. But once you know you have it, you just don't buy certain minions that just don't work with it. As for the minions and the strategies I like to use when I'm playing Greybough, so Greybough likes beasts, mechs, and to a much lesser extent, demons. Any minion that summons more, that has reborn, is going to get a lot of value out of the hero power and give your board time to develop and do what it is you need it to do. So demons, the kind of thing you're going to be looking for is, Imprisoner, Piggyback Imp, Ring Matron. These minions already summon additional minions, but now they're going to get the buff and they're going to have taunt, which means if you run a Soul Juggler package, you're going to be able to sit back there and have more and more time to develop, give those minions time to die, to give your Soul Juggler time to kill the other end of the board and get you, some easy wins in the mid game especially. Mechs, for the most part, have many natural death rattles. Mechs are great because they already have natural death rattles. They're going to give you time to have your board develop. And if they don't, you stick a replicating menace on them, and now they're even more threatening. Your Deflecto bot basically is going to live forever on that front end, or at least till the very end of the combat, because every one of those things that's going to summon an additional minion is also going to have taunt, which gives them more time to survive, build up that attack bonus, get those extra resets, and make them more valuable. Kangor's Apprentice. Hey, not only does it kick out mechs, but it kicks out mechs now with taunt, so you don't have to worry about your Baron getting sniped earlier. Omega Buster. Already a good minion, already buffing your whole board. Now those tokens have taunt. Same deal. Greybough is great for this. It's going to give you the time you need for those Baron Rivendares to survive so the rest of your board can scale up and really be a threat. For me, beasts are always the way to go with Greybough. Yes, all the other trebs work, but beasts, when you can get them, are where you shine. I mean, you have tons of death rattles. You have reanimating rattlers, so you can give everything reborn. This protects your barons, your bird buddies, your mama bears, giving you more and more value, more triggers from your leapfroggers. You've got Sewer Rat Pack, Highmane. There's just so many good death rattles already in Beast. And now that, when they summon things through Reborn or, just their natural summons, they're gonna all have taunt. And Gas Coiler is a monster in the late game. You get this thing Reborn, you triple it, it sits there, it dies, and it's gonna summon 2/4 death rattles. Those will all have taunts. Anything they summon will also have taunt. Very good value. Really can't go wrong with Beast when you're going to play Greybough. And there's a lot of really good neutral minions or things that work like neutral minions in Greybough's lobbies. If Quillbore are in, Bristlebane Scrapsmith. Probably the only Quillbore you ever want to play, but every time one of your minions with taunt dies, you get a blood gem. Well, everything you summon has taunt. So you get a handful of blood gems essentially every turn with this minion. Khadgar. Oh, you like summoning things? How about 2 of everything you summon? Khadgar's going to double all those summons. Triple them? Now it's 3 of every summon. Yeah, it's hard to make room for those summons, but it's fun when they go off in the right order. Mechanotank. Not a neutral minion, but it works with every single build. You sit in and back, everything dies, everything has taunt. Every time 2 of them die, the tank shoots something on the other side of the board. Huge value. It isn't like the Soul Juggler that needs you to have demons. Mechanotank works with every build, so it's just really, really effective when you're using Greybough. Obviously, you're going to have a bunch of death rattles, Baron Rivendare, depending what you're going for. Probably, one of the best minions. Pretty consistently overall, very, very good. Walking Fort. Odds are your board's going to have a bunch of taunts on it to start also. Walking Fort is going to give them the stats they need to actually be a threat, and not just a taunt minion that blocks. Yes, they're still going to do that job, but now they're going to actually do damage, so Walking Fort, I really can't discount, is a good minion. Now, when it comes to countering Greybough, Greybough is very great in the early game. They can be very lucky, get a bunch of death rattles reborn, and that's super hard to deal with. There's nothing you really can do with that other than beat them down with stats. Don't worry about them in the early game. They are what they are. The problem with them is their hero power doesn't super scale. So the later the game goes, yes, they can get the perfect minions and put together that great, amazing build. But their hero power is not really making them any stronger beyond that. So if they don't find the minions they need, if they never find Baron for their beast build, they're definitely hurting. Their leapfrogs aren't really doing anything. What you have to really pay attention to is what their quest is. Now, if their quest is something that gives them a lot of scaling and they can complete that even moderately early, because of the nature of their hero power, they're going to be a massive threat because now they're kicking out tokens, which gives them more taunts, which gives their important minions time to let their board develop. And every turn they're developing through whatever way that quest is helping them develop. That can be super bad for you. You still counter them like you always do, but eventually they get to be tough to deal with. But that being said, Greybough is typically a pretty relatively safe hero to deal with. Like, what they're going to do. It's going to be about tokens. It's going to be about summoning more things, buffing their board through Avenge. So what you're looking for are the minions that usually counter their key minions and not just all their board. You're looking for the zaps. Yes, I know there's Uther, there's Quillbore, there's problems, but Zap can certainly do some work for you, even if it's just taking out their early summon minions before they get to do them all. You can Tunnel Blast. Yeah, they're probably going to have shields, but they're also going to have a lot of low health minions to summon more minions. Well, if you Baron Tunnel Blast, you can nuke out that board before it's a major threat, once again, depending what build they're actually using. Cleave, if they're going to be summoning lots of minions and they've got 3 or 4 taunts, but you could take out 3 of them with 1 cleave, all of a sudden, a lot of their summons have been reduced because each of those taunts might summon 3 or more minions each. But now there's only room for 3. When you kill 3 of them, that is a massive loss in their in-game scaling, which is really important to Greybough. And finally, Whitemane. Are they using Baron? Are they sitting it in the 7th spot? And are they not wiggling it back and forth between, 5, 6, and 7? And you know it? Put a Whitemane out, kill him. As soon as that Baron's dead, that Mechano Tank's dead, they don't really have any way to hurt your board. They're just summoning a bunch of random minions. Yeah, if they've got a bunch of gas coilers, they can scam you. It's fun for them. It's even kind of fun to watch play out for you. There's not much you can do about that one. But realistically, Greybough doesn't super scale. So if your hero power is scaling and the game's getting longer and longer, don't really worry about it. If they beat you because they RNG scam you, it's RNG scam. There's nothing you can do about that. That's just RNG. Hey, and real quick, if you're having fun with these guides, if they're teaching you new things, you're having a good time and you're like, wow, I learned a bunch of stuff, please hit like and subscribe. Mention it to any of your buddies. Every time I get more views, I get more subs, I get more motivated, and I keep pushing out that content. This is making me a better player, and I hope it's making you a better player too. Thank you very much. Overall, I have always enjoyed playing Greybough. They're not a first place hero typically. This isn't I'm gonna win. This is a top 4 hero. If you have average luck finding death rattles, finding reborns, if you find a quest you can complete, you're almost always going to top 4 with Greybough because you don't typically take a lot of mid-game damage. You find those death rattles, those reborns, they're pretty solid minions, and you just coast into the end game. Now the question is, did you complete your quest and is it actually impactful? If you find a scaling quest that you can actually pull off, well, now you're looking at a win with Greybough. Now you actually have some things you can do. Otherwise, it's just a very good, consistent hero that I've always enjoyed playing. Greybough is just vanilla ice cream. You can't really go wrong with it. It's not the best you've ever had, but it's not bad either. Stay tuned. I have more guides on the way. I hope you learned a few things today and had a good time. I know I did. Thanks for watching. Bye.